Amaya Sengatera Dorianana Sigatana Beto Omiashana Katea Setones Bruniana Elatana Comase Meagoni Aladana Tu Eashala Hammananingingeo, hammananingingeo. Hammananingingeo, hammananingingeo.
No sound. No sound.
We can't hear you.
Here inside, something tells you to be here. That's very true for a lot of us with the TwinRay. And so I want to let you know that this is the Sovereign Super Sisters, and we are here to bring high-level events to you. And that's what's going to happen tonight. I also want to honor self-medicine. It's an incredible venue that we have here that we're producing for Sebastopol, who is bringing us such high-level events. Well, I'm Deborah Giusti, and you may know me because I produced the Harmony Festival for 33 years in Santa Rosa. I know a lot of you were a part of that. And that is another example of high-level events. And I feel like soft medicine is continuing that lineage, so I honor it so much. So tonight we are going to explore what is really going on with this world. It's pretty intense times. Have you noticed? And the TwinRay are going to share with us how these times have been predicted. And they are intense, and they're in your face. The wars, the economic collapse potential, the environmental destruction happening. But they're going to share that this is a time that has been prophesized. We call it the purification. It's when all the dysfunction comes to the surface so it can be seen and therefore healed. And as above, so below, what's happening in the world is happening with all of us too. So this is going to be an incredible inner journey as well. And so I invite you to really receive tonight, because this is not just a talk. This is a transmission. And this is to help you connect up and receive your own guidance, your own memories, your own knowing, because that's really the core of all of this, is to really tune in and receive ourselves. And so we, as the Sovereign Super Sisters, are going to be bringing all kinds of high vibe events to you. Yeah. We have Dr. Sandra Rose Michael coming, the founder of the EE system. She's going to be coming on June 9th. And so we're going to bring that to you and live stream it as well. And also, Anastara is going to be producing Activate Your Super Self. Superpowers on August 9th during the Lionsgate. Yeah, and she's leading a trip to Egypt on the 11/11. That's going to be amazing. So you'll find out about that. And if you're connected with us now, we'll talk to you all about what we have coming up. But we appreciate you being here in this room and all the people on live stream, the hundreds of people that are going to watch the replay. We love you and appreciate you because these are the times, and we're meant to be together, receive together, and activate together. And so this is a sacred gathering, so we are going to open up sacred space now. So I invite you to come into your heart, into your soul, open up your energy field, and I request that Anastasis lead us into sacred space.
Thank you, Deborah. All right, beloveds, if you would like to just bow your head or close your eyes if you choose to, and let's just take some deep breaths together. In through the nose, out the mouth. Yes. And again. And again. And we're going to let go of everything that it took to get here, our whole day. Let go of the to-do list afterwards and tune into the present here and now. You could place your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your womb if you'd like. And as we breathe in, imagine breathing in the renewing energies of care and kindness, cycling it through your heart. And now sharing it into your body, grounding it into the earth. And now with this next breath, inhale compassion and empathy. Cycling through your heart, through your body, grounding it into the earth. And now we're breathing in cooperation, collaboration, and co-creation, the frequencies of our new earth. Cycling it through the heart, through the body, and grounding it into the earth. And now imagining that light bubble within your heart, we're going to begin to expand our energy into our bodies. That light, that white light, that golden honey, molten lava light from Mother Earth, we're going to bring it into our entire body, into our entire beingness. And then begin to expand it out into your auric field so you're actually merging and intertwining with those that are beside you. And now with the next exhale, we're going to expand that energy even further out, each one of us filling the room with our light. And now with the next exhale, we're going to breathe out through the walls and the ceiling and the floor, sending that radiant light out into the neighborhood around us. Let our community feel this light emanating from this room right now in this present moment. And now we're going to breathe out even further, and we're going to envelop the entire earth, holding Mama Gaia to our bosom, caressing her, holding her, acknowledging her, witnessing her, thanking her for all that she provides for humanity. And sharing this light with our human family now, in this pivotal moment in humanity's awakening, now is the time to share our light and shine brightly. We give others permission to do so when we do it ourselves. And I ask you, who are you being in your life? Not what are you doing, who are you being? How do you shine your light? How are you in service to community? Today, we bring this light around Mother Earth and we begin to breathe it back in towards ourselves. Back in towards Sebastopol, back into soft medicine, back into our auric fields. And bring it back into our bodies, bring it back into our heart of service. And I invite you tonight to have an open mind, open heart, open spirit, open soul to the transmission that the TwinRay is about to share with us. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you.
Do we know that they're ready?
Yeah, Maya, how are they doing? So, okay, I just want to make sure we do have an opportunity to introduce ourselves as well. I am Anastara Makam, the mother of 1111 Unified and Ascension University. And as Deborah mentioned, I am hosting an event to take a sacred pilgrimage to Egypt. We'll be at the Temple of Isis on 1111 in sacred ceremony. And so you can find out more information out in the loft. You can find the flyers and the stickers and things. And really, honestly, it is my privilege and honor to be here with you ladies and to be co-hosting and co-producing this, and I feel like it's just the beginning. Yeah.
My name is Heather Starr, and I am a cosmic co-creatrix. I am super honored to be Anastara's personal assistant, and yeah, I'm just here to be of service to the awakening of humanity, and a part of this collaboration of amazing women is like a dream come true for me. I have to pinch myself sometimes. But I'm just so grateful to be here and to be in community with all of you, and I'm really looking forward to tonight. So, yeah.
Beautiful. And I'm Deborah. I've been around forever, doing this work forever, so I know so many of you and love so many of you. So, yeah, and I sit on the edge of the new paradigm, and I see what's coming, because I'm here for our awakening, like the TwinRay is. And so, just to be honest with you, the TwinRay are really some of my top teachers right now. And I call myself a spiritual connoisseur of spiritual teachers, because I've been around for a long time, studying spiritual teachers for about 20 years. And they've all taken us through the next level of evolution and consciousness, you know, from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s. And I really want to say the TwinRay is really the teacher for our times now. They really tune into all the radical things that are happening now, which can, you know, move a lot of people off their center. And they teach us how to understand that we are going through this purification, and we can use this as spiritual food and spiritual evolution, which is why we came here. We all came to the planet now for this time. This is showtime, you know? And so we're all here together. We can all support each other. But they teach us how to live on the positive timeline. We can see all that just kind of crumbling as the dysfunction goes away, as the old systems die, and the new earth is going to be born. And that's what they're really here to teach us. They teach us about building the new earth together, physically on the world and within our psyche, in our body, in our spirits. They teach us about the spiritual alchemy that is available to us now. And this is really true. Humanity has the option to ascend. They're amazing beings. They're called the TwinRay because they're actually one soul in two bodies. That's way beyond twin soul. They are deeply united and have come here to the planet for the purpose of assisting humanity's awakening. And they have an amazing story. Sanandaji lived in the Himalayas for 8 years as part of his spiritual training and trained with all the Babas, the Rishis, Babaji, all of them. Shakina Ma is an amazing being. She's actually a walk-in and came to this planet specifically to help. And they met in this lifetime at the base of the Giza Pyramid.
Yep. 7 years ago.
They recognized each other, they merged, and they began their spiritual mission of what they came here to do to assist humanity's awakening. And they traveled all around the world, healing the planet in their ministry. They are truly mystics of our times. And they are so generous. They have online offerings of all kinds of courses, from beginning to very advanced, that you can find on their website. They have an amazing retreat center in Ashland, and a public center that you can go to. They have all kinds of products and services and nutraceuticals that can help you advance and raise. And they offer retreats and all kinds of programs all over. But there's 3 reasons why I really love them. First of all, they are so wise. It seems to me I can ask them anything, and they pull from the database of knowledge of the history of the ages. And they'll answer anything at a really high level and give you so much wisdom. Also, they walk their talk. They're not just teachers that spout out information. They have done the work. They have gone through everything we're going through now. They're ahead of us a couple steps, so they're here to show us the way. And the main thing that I love is that they teach the frequency of love. Everything they do is in love. Their breath, their teachings, and I've never, ever seen them waver. And I've known them for 4 years now. So again, this is a transmission for you. I'm so honored to share with you now. And we are blessed. Here come the TwinRay, Sanandaji and Shekinah Ma.
Thank you, beloveds. You are welcome here.
Blessings. Can everyone hear us? Perfect. Blessings. It's so good to be here with you all. And thank you, beloved Deborah, for your heart sharing and sharing a piece of our journey. And thank you so much to the tribe here. It's the beautiful, we can just feel so much heart. And it's a great joy.
This is such a special place. The moment we came in, we really felt all the love that was poured into its creation. We felt the collaboration and the co-creation of everybody's hearts. It was really lovely. So we are so honored to be here, and we thank you so much. And Deborah, and Anastara, and Heather, and every single person who has made this happen, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's begin. So our intention with sharing about beyond prophecy, prophecy for us creates collective purpose. It gives us a greater way to serve and contribute. And in a way, we all showed up for this lifetime to make a change in whether it's something that's more deeply personal, that we transform ourselves, and as we do so, we transform our entire genetic line. We help heal our family by being the medicine of past wounds. And through that healing, we help heal the earth. Whether it's also group work that we do together, we contribute in different ways. And so the idea of prophecy is really contributing to the collective purpose. And we're living in such profound times.
And really, if we take a look at what prophecy is, it's just a series of stories that hold a particular narrative. And this narrative is alive right now. It's woven through time and space. It's woven through the scriptures. It's woven through the indigenous storytelling, the songs that have been sung, and it's alive right now. And what we're here to do today is to just bring a little bit of peace and a little bit of hope to a world right now that seems to be in such disarray and so deeply lost. We look at the children and our hearts break because we just don't know how to help them at the deepest levels, for them to be open to receive, for them to trust that they are here for a greater purpose. And what is the purpose of prophecy? It's to give purpose, just like beloved Sanandaji said. And so today is going to be about purpose, finding the purpose. We'll do everything that we can to help anybody here regain that purpose. Remember 100% why we've all come, why we're here together to dance in these ways, and find the way back home.
Yeah.
Shall we do meditation first?
Yeah, so let's do a little meditation before we begin. We're going to give an outline and then do also some practical teachings in the way of how we can embody what we're learning today. And we'll also open up for questions at the end as well. So let's just begin by presencing ourselves, taking a deep breath in, closing our eyes and breathing into our hearts. Just softening into this moment, letting any tension melt away, letting the day that you've experienced melt away.
Letting the week, letting the month, letting the year, letting everything that you're truly ready to let go of just dissolve behind you. And watching yourself step further and further away from that which you're trying to let go of. And as you step further and further away, you can feel a softening that takes place, that allows the divine to enter and thus to be released from you.
And setting an intention. What would you like to see change in your life? What would you like to see less of, perhaps? More of, perhaps? Are you completely content at every dimension, every level of your experience? Set an intention for this container to help create coherence, to then bring forth the manifestation of what you're really yearning for, to know more of who you truly are, to embody that, to be that, unwavering, be a pillar of truth, of love, of the great wisdom that you carry inside your heart. Taking another deep breath in. And
Opening hearts wider now. Give yourself permission right now to open your heart as wide as it's ever been. To allow the intelligence and the divinity of your heart to be in its reception. Reception is unlimited. It is unbounded. It is infinitely expanded. So too can your heart be that.
so when you're ready, opening your eyes, as we begin this journey beyond prophecy. We want to highlight the significance of this year. We're going to go deeper into the discovery of this year. It's a catalyst moment with the energetics that are being mapped into the earth. We're going to unpack what grid lines are. Who has heard of the concept of ley lines? Okay, most of you are quite learned. Fantastic. And so we're going to unpack some of the science of what's happening in these cycles, these cosmic cycles, as we're moving into and have moved into this Aquarian age. What does that mean from a galactic standpoint of our position within the galaxy? What's happening with the energy influx that's coming onto our planet, how it's creating a new grid system. We're also going to outline the 12 different main prophecies that are from different areas, such as scriptural prophecies from different civilizations, and also indigenous First Nation prophecies, and also modern mystics and how they've all been speaking to this time right now. And so let's begin. We can't see this, so...
No, we can't see that at all. But you know, what's so incredibly invaluable we find is that, don't you feel that it's encoded in you? Does anyone here feel like this time is encoded in you? Like, even though you may not know exactly what's going to happen to the detail, you feel that you're here for something great, for a celebration, for something that has been waiting and wanting for such a long time. So we believe that it's encoded in the DNA, it's encoded in the earth, it's encoded in the cosmos, and all we have to do is really tap in even deeper and deeper to be able to unearth that wisdom. So hopefully we'll be able to do more of that today.
Yeah.
Let
Okay.
us begin with slide 1.
So the Golden Age, we want to speak about what that means. We're going to touch on the Golden Age and outline what that means through antiquity, history, or her story, and also just remove any sort of notion of this idealism, of this perfect ideal of this golden age that could be an escape, to think of some utopic creation without doing the work. We all have to contribute. We have to do the inner work. We have to do the light diving, the shadow walking, to unpack our own traumas and dramas so we can contribute to live in peace, because it all has to begin within. We're going to speak about the cosmic cycles, and which we just mentioned, about how there's cycles within cycles within cycles, just like there's cycles of each day. We go through a 24-hour cycle, we go through a weekly cycle, a monthly cycle, a yearly cycle. So we're going to speak about the micro cycles that map into the macro cycles. We're also going to speak about the geobiology, the science of geobiology, geo meaning the earth, and the biology, the energetic anatomy of the earth, how she is a living organism, a breathing, intelligent, sentient being. That's literally, we are borrowing these beautiful temples, these skin suits from her, and how she is the body and we are like the cells, and how she is going through a metamorphosis and how we can contribute and support that. We're also going to speak about the human evolution, so how, as we start unpacking the internal sort of genetic and energetic changes that we're going through at a individual level, it's also affecting to a collective level, where we're moving away from this individual consciousness of limitation into the group's synthesis, group or unity consciousness. And that's essentially what the prophecies are speaking into. And then we're going to go to a deeper practice, just speak into some practical applications of how we can take this knowledge and we can apply it. And we'll also unpack some integration techniques as well. Okay. And most importantly, have fun. And bring some humor and bring some lightheartedness and joy to this.
Well, that's definitely what's needed right now in the world?
So we'll share a tiny little bit of our story. It is the most sort of unimportant aspect of this entire talk, but it has importance to the sense of what we're experiencing happen on the planet right now. So in 2017, we met, as beloved Deborah was sharing, in Egypt, and we did a lot of group work and grid work. We became super fascinated with what we call Geodivinity. It means the divinity of the earth, the divine biology. So just as we have meridian systems, we have chakra systems, nodal structures, organs, and all these bodily systems, of course, so does the earth does, and it mimics that. So what we were doing was basically walking the grids and unpacking this energetic corrections that needed to happen. We didn't really know this at the time. We could feel something happening, and we actually caught on camera something significant that we want to share. And what we came to find out in later months, I think it was about 6 months later, is that during that time, Earth had moved out of what's called a sort of a plasmic cloud, and that cloud was a sort of a repulsion zone. It was filtering cosmic radiation and cosmic energy coming onto our planets. So these three shields, the shield of the Earth, the electromagnetic shield, the cosmic clouds, this plasmic field cloud, and also the electromagnetic relationship with the sun and the earth, that all shifted in 2017. And what it did is opened up this massive bandwidth of energy, just a downpour into our grid, into our earth. And that means that there was a new grid system, a new ley line structure that was coming onto the planet.
And
so,
this hasn't been seen in 12,000 years.
Yeah, so
that's valuable.
So apparently the last time it was shown of occurring was actually, the mapping of this was when Atlantis was actually risen. So what we found is that this new grid that's emerging on our planets, if we can think about this energy coming onto the planet, and inside the crystalline core, or the iron nickel core, it's like a big singing bowl or a big bell, and it's getting rung. And as it gets rung and it vibrates, it's creating these slow standing sound waves. And these sort of like pulse waves, just as if we were to throw like a pebble into a pond, it would create these ripples. And so cymatics, anyone familiar with the science of cymatics, like the vibration of water, the vibration of, if we play a frequency into a petri dish of water or on a vibration plate of sand, this sand or water will rearrange itself into complex geometries. And so it's giving us the visual of sounds. Well, that's exactly what's happening to our Earth. There's this energy coming in, high frequency, it's creating these reverberations, and that happened in 2017, in December solstice. And so we became very intrigued about this. And play the next slide. The interesting thing, when we were in the pause of the Sphinx, there was something that was pre-seen. There's a few luminaries speaking about 2017 and this particle convergence, basically like a beam of light coming into the Earth, and as it comes into the Earth, it creates this shift. Well, when we were at the pause of the Sphinx, you can press play, this is what happens, is that we captured on the solstice this holographic beam of light while we were all meditating in the pause of the king's, outside the king's chamber of the pyramid, we were at the Sphinx, and we saw this with our very own eyes. It was profound, because we would all had anticipated something magnificent to occur that was going to happen, and we didn't know what that would look like, and this is what was captured. So, next. So now that we've sort of introduced why this is interesting to us, we want to also share why it may be interesting for us all that are participating. You know, this golden age sometimes can seem like this long distant future. It can feel like maybe a utopic dream that we may feel in ourselves at times, but we may have lost hope through life's unfoldment. And so the golden age, it's something that we must become. It's not something that is just going to happen. We have a profound opportunity, but we must co-create it. And when we speak of a golden age, we're speaking of a piece, where we pick up the pieces of our individualized aspects that are hurt, that are traumatized, all these aspects inside of ourselves, we have to heal them and we have to come into wholeness. And so we speak of the golden age as a time of wholeness, a time of
World peace.
world peace.
And really that's what these prophecies are speaking about. They're speaking about a time where the traumas have occurred, the narratives have happened, the souls have gone through what we call the training ground of the soul sadhana, to the surrender, to the absolute surrender to the divine, to the great divine will that is far beyond the comprehension of the ephemeral human mind. And this time of surrender is what's being prayed for right now. It's a time to truly recognize the infallibility of the divine plan, no matter what it might look like, no matter what it might feel like, to believe that there's something so much more powerful and greater that is orchestrating and creating, and that knows with absolute perfection and precision what to do next and what will unfold next.
And also take inspired action, not just be a bystander and just witness it in that surrender, but surrender to also your guidance, like listen to that guidance, listen to your heart and open up the channels of your heart to really have an unwavering discipline to listen to what you know is in bringing you into resonance.
And align with that in divine will.
Yes, and bring your personal will into that alignment with divine will. And so we see the golden age as a time where we first start coming to a group coherence and a unity consciousness in communities, just like this community, and where tribes come together, and we may not agree with each other in certain ways. We may also get triggered from certain mirrors that come up for us, but it gives us a great opportunity to do the great work and do that collective work together. And so the golden age isn't about rainbows and lollipops and unicorns. It's about doing the work. And then you get on the unicorn and go take a ride.
And that's the courage. That's the courageous thing, is you stand in it. You don't run from it. You stand and you step right into it. And you say, I'm here and I have more compassion and more mercy and more love than any level of fear that might show up.
And there is also that question. It's like, okay, we can romanticize that we are so privileged that we can experience this in this Western world to certain degrees. And then we can also reflect that, what about the wars that are happening? What about the inhumane events that are occurring on this planet? What do we do with those situations? How can we have a golden age when people are suffering? And it's a really valid point. But what we're merely saying is that the golden age is about discovering that connection with the divine within yourself and being an embodiment of that. It doesn't mean advocating any responsibility or advocating that there isn't suffering or pain in the world. Where there is war-torn countries, what we can see is that as a symptom of not being in love, not being in resonance. It doesn't mean love in a romantic sense is just going to all of a sudden transform the world stage. But if enough of us gather and we create global coherence consistently and create that resonance, we can make a massive impact. Our hearts are this incredible, incredible technology. And when we tap into that divine technology, we can start offsetting the dissonance in this world. So it's not just a golden age of hope and dreams, it's also deep compassion. And from that compassion, we take inspired action. Mm-hmm. And so it's not to sort of glaze over the fact that there is very unfortunate situations, but we also have to see that there's a lot of karma that's playing out
Precisely.
again and again, and a lot of memory that's encoded into those civilizations, into the very nucleus of the soils of those lands. They're playing out those wars again and again that will pass on from generation to generation.
And much of this is actually karma that's off planet as well, that is being relived and lived here. So it's complicated.
It is, but we're in this very special period of time that we're going to unpack further and further from an energetic standpoint, from an antiqual standpoint, and from a modern standpoint of like how we can really make a shift. And there's some incredible solutions that are arising for this day and age. And we, yeah, and we'll share more about that. But it's about never losing hope. Hope is so important, and we must be a beacon of light in the darkest of times. And in this age, what we're moving into, there's been many different depictions of this. That we'll use the Hindu model called the Yugas, just to speak about moving from the Dark Age or the Kali Yuga, moving into the Bronze Age or the Dwapara Yuga, moving into the Tetra Yuga, the Silver Age, and then the Satya Yuga. Now, time isn't linear. Everything, and neither is progress. Progress is not linear either. When we make progress, it's quantum. And so we have to acknowledge that every age is occurring simultaneously. And it's up to us to step into that frequency, to step into that vibration, to step into that embodiment, to actually live that experience. Everyone has a unique experience. No one experiences the same perspective
The same event.
of the same events.
And that's what's so fascinating, is that you could be, not likely in this room, but you could be in another room.
Maybe.
Maybe. But you could be in another room and you could be experiencing an event, and your neighbor and the person next to you could be at a completely different frequency bandwidth, and thus experiencing the words, the emotions, the entire event. They're seeing it in a completely different way, with different vision and different eyes than you. And thus you will have a different occurrence, you will have a different effect than the person next to you who's at a different age or a different stage or a different cycle. So when we talk about the four, we're talking about 4 different levels. You could call it consciousness. We probably call it awareness.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because we see consciousness as the absolute, and it is who you truly are beyond the who, actually. Consciousness as the continuum of all creation. And so we can call that spirit, we can call that God, we can call that the unified field, we can call it whatever we want to call it, but essentially we are that. And their journey is to remember who we truly are as that, embody it, live it, and express it, and uphold that dharma for all. And so there is sort of a pedagogical process of like an unfoldment, or a natural organic unfoldment, as one goes to that internal initiatic process of awakening.
And you know, this leads us back to the mystery schools. Who here is familiar with the mystery schools, or is somehow called into the mysteries of the mystery schools?
Yeah. And who's
There's some
also
beloveds.
who's also intrigued about initiation and what initiation means. So initiation, we're living in this time where, in antiquity, there used to be specific temples, specific architectural structures that would house those rites of passage, those initiations that would be catalysts for the path of awakening, the path of ascension, the path of self-realization. And there would be different types of initiations depending upon what civilization or what time and epoch. Now, these initiations happen more universally, and they happen spontaneously. We just happen to go through it through our period in this journey. We can't escape it.
But that actually also makes it much more challenging. It makes it a lot more, almost like you're going through it blinded, and you don't always know who to turn. You don't always know where to turn or who to turn to, or that it's even safe to let yourself be known about what it is that you're going through. What mystical experiences you've had, is it safe to share those? Is it okay to talk about the fact that you're experiencing a reality that maybe somebody else hasn't yet experienced? Well, it should be, because you need to be able to go somewhere so that it's safe to be held in containers that have already stepped through those doors and gone through those doors that can say, ah, yes, come. We'll usher you through that, because we've already been through that. We've stepped through those minefields, and they can often feel like minefields.
Yeah. And we'll simplify initiation. They are an event in our journey of awakening more and more. And these cycles of time of the prophecies are all speaking about a collective initiation, that we're going through this together. We're going through this as an event that's unpacking, unfolding, as we're all contributing in different ways. And the most simple model that we've offered to sort of create a macro and a micro, meaning like the age of time of our perception of the collective experience and our own unique individual journey and where we're at, is, say, for example, the dark age would be equivalent to the victim consciousness, sort of the shadow consciousness, where we see the universe maybe sometimes against us, where we see the universe happens to me instead of and more of an elevated or accepted level. There's life's happening to me, the universe is happening to me.
And this is when one can feel very out of control, scared. There's a lot of fear here, fear of the unknown.
And then as we take that responsibility, we do the inner work, we shift our perspective and we change into a more of an optimistic way, then we start seeing shifting from the dark age into more the bronze age, and entering into that state of the universe happens by me. But at this point, we must make a choice. What part of our life are we creating with? Are we creating it from our soul level? Are we creating it from our guided level? Or are we creating from the shadow level, the sort of lower self? So there's this part of our journey where we go, okay, sometimes we feel like we're doing it all ourselves, and we're really not. We're all contributing in different ways. And so this stage of the journey is where we really acknowledge that how we want to contribute to life, how we want to contribute is from the highest level possible. And we keep working internally in order to bring that through. And so the universe happens by me is that sort of the way in which we live in life and how we show up.
And there's still will in that.
Yeah, there's still personal will.
Quite a bit of personal will in that. It's a lot of doingness, and instead of beingness, there's a lot of controlling aspects to the universe happens by me. It's you're the one that makes things happen.
But as you get through that, then it's the universe happens for me. And the universe happens for me, meaning that everything happens perfectly, synchronistically, aligned, that gives you a perfect reflection when you need it. And this is where we elevate to the sort of the silver age, this next stage of our evolution, where we're seeing that everything's a synchronistic dance, everything's coming and creating at the frequency in which we're transmitting.
And this is when you see a lot of, you're following license plates, or you're going, oh, there's a message that was just given to me, I just saw a license plate go by. Or you can see the 1111s and the 333s, and the clock is showing you angel messages. This is when you start tuning to these kinds of messages.
Or you're thinking of someone, they call you instantly, or you see them when you come across them. So you're living in flow, basically. You're living in this harmonic alignment. And you sometimes will drop in and out of that. But the fourth stage, which we call the golden age, when you're doing the deeper inner work to resolve and create resolution, is when the universe happens through you. You're this consistent channel until that channel becomes that the universe happens as you. And so there's no more wavering. You liberate the wavering aspects. You liberate the persona, the personality that prevents you from seeing truth in all moments.
And you become completely embodied, no longer a channel.
And so this is oversimplified to the initiatic process. So just, it's very, very simplified, but we're giving that just as a sort of a framework model of the natural progression of as how we perceive our reality, of how we experience ourselves and how we experience life around us. So, when we acknowledge that that's our own individual, unique experience that we go through, it also can be a collective experience. We can also see that through certain cycles, like the precession of the equinox, which we'll unpack further, these sort of astrological ages, as our position within the solar system, our position within the galaxy, and as we're moving, like the Earth's moving, and everything's moving consistently, we start getting closer to certain sheaths of information. Sheaths meaning like these ebbs and flow of plasmic energy that's emanating from the source of our galaxy. And as we come closer to these sheaths, we start coming to resonance. We've become inducted.
It's so cold here.
We were told it's super warm here.
I know.
And then we get up here and it's like freezing.
Because the AC is right here. No, it's perfect.
No, it's perfect.
It's perfect. We're great.
So let's go to
This is so much better.
the next slide. This was a moment that we had with a dear beloved Chief Phil and some of our beloved community that we travelled to the ceremony of the 8th fire. And we wanted to start with this because this is a very significant prophecy that's speaking about this very time we're living in, where we find a global peace, the great peace that's spoken of as the day that no night shall follow. And this is what's coming about over time. And the next image, you'll see the actual fire, and you'll see above there's this beautiful like phoenix bird-like image of how the flame has been captured. And why that's significant is because where this fire was lit was at the birthplace of Quetzalcoatl.
Who's familiar with the 8th fire, or the prophecy of the, yeah?
Yes. Okay, so just to give you a bit of an overview, because this is going to lead us into more Indigenous prophecies, and then we're going to go deeper into other universal prophecies. So the 8th fire is very significant because there's a big movement happening about unifying the Indigenous nations, and we're all part of that. We're not separate from that. We're all part of that unification. Now, the birthplace of Quetzalcoatl in Mexico, Quetzalcoatl was the deity of the rainbow serpent. So he has the rainbow feathered, so he has the wings of the feathered, and there's the serpents. And so
Crested figure
when you,
of that.
it's sort of like the Christ figure of the Mayan and Aztec lore and prophecy. So this was a moment of capturing that magic of, as there were many elders speaking into the fire, setting the intentions for what we want to see change into the world. And so the prophecy has another energetic perspective as well, is that there's a great fire that's coming. It's a spiritual fire. It's already sort of approached us. It hasn't consumed us yet, but it's approaching us. And it's the fire of purification. And so every universal prophecy is speaking of this great time of Earth's purification, where we must become pure as the very light that we truly are. And so the 8th fire is the symbolic expression of world peace, of a purification that's taking place inside of our souls, inside of our hearts, inside of our beings, inside of our communities, inside the very planet itself. We're going to do our best to outline this great purification from the cosmic standpoint, and also just unpack and unwind these scriptural prophecies. So this 8th fire is significant for many reasons, but it unifies really all the collective together to find a common unity with all the laws, the natural laws of how we should live our life. And so each fire before that represents a different time of a collective realization where we shift our laws, that we shift our ways. And so speaking about that specifically, it would take us probably the whole night to sort of unpack it. And each one of these prophecies that we're going to highlight could essentially,
Easily be a class itself,
Yeah.
each one.
So we're just going to do the overarching.
But what's so significant about the eighth fire and how it was developed is that, for such a long time, the tribes were in conflict with one another. The tribes held each pieces of wisdom, pieces of the story of the earth. And for as long as the tribes have been, there has been wars and conflict. And now, as the earth speaks, as the cosmos communicates, they have come together to say, it is time to share my wisdom with you. It is time to open up the ancestors that have walked and connect with your ancestors that have walked, and thus create our ancestors that have walked, and be more a part of truly what the we is. And this warring way has come to an end. It has come to a close for those. And for us, that is so significant and so deeply moving and meaningful, because in the earth herself, the ancestors have held such pain and such trauma and such sorrow. And even in the songs that are sung over and over again, it still holds that memory. It still holds that codex, and thus keeps those ancestors bound as well. And now it's time to let those ancestors go, so that there is no more binding, so that there can truly be freedom. And the eighth fire is representative of that freedom, is representative of the coalition of the 80 million, is that how much? 80 million indigenous ones. And we're all a part of that. We're all a part of that on some level, at some genetic imprint, through living on the earth herself. So this is a very significant moment, and it was our great honor to light this fire with our own hands, along with so many other incredible indigenous elders and beloved Chief Phil Lane.
So there's 3 levels of prophecy. There's not really levels as in higher or lower, but more like different aspects. So there's those scriptural prophecies that will highlights, and there's the First Nation, the indigenous, or the originals, we can also say. And in Australia, where I'm from, my ancestors are Nuttingeri and Wattingeri, which is the Australian Aboriginal clan of the Whale tribe. And they don't like being called Indigenous or Aboriginal. They prefer originals, because they were originally there on the land. And the land was not terra nullius, meaning that there was no life on terra, on the terrain. It was very much upheld. And so these different tribes held different pieces of the one sort of collective mission, and they all have a different story, a Dreamtime story, or a story of sharing about their download. And what prophecies really are is receiving the information from the field, receiving the insights from the divine mind, and then interpreting that the best way it can with the language that's accessible at that time. So that's really the different layers that we're going to cover today. And so starting with scriptural prophecy, obviously there's the book of Revelations, which is a very esoteric, a very
Highly coded
manuscript that's speaking about this second coming, this great second coming that's occurring, which is a collective consciousness. It's a collective unity. So as we go into that unity consciousness, or that Christ consciousness, it's as we are moving from the individual into that group harmonic. And so that's one level of unpacking that scripture. It's having that great revelation. Revelation means to reveal, to see truth, to see the spirit, to see what's hidden.
Covered up, what's been covered up
Yeah.
and buried.
Exactly. There's also the Maitreya prophecy, the next Buddha to come. And that speaks of the golden age, where there's this time of great purification that will come. And Buddha consciousness will also be awakened and returns. There'll be a lotus born, a returning to that being born of spirits, where we collectively remember. There's also the Fatima prophecy. Fatima is speaking with these three children actually received a vision, and the Vatican went to silence them because their vision was that if the church didn't listen, certain things would happen, and they all came true. And so there's this prophecy that speaks of basically this collective event where there's this war that occurs, not a physical war, but a war of spirit, where the ones that forget their connection to source, they forget their connection to spirits. And there's the ones that return that connection and live out that connection. And it's interesting when you look at the codex of each one of these from another perspective, they're also speaking of different keywords of a global transformation that's happening. There's certain patterns, there's certain shifts that occur on the planets, and we want to highlight those in a moment. There's also the Vedic prophecies of the Samvardika fire. The Samvardika fire is this great solar discharge that happens from our sun, and as that happens, it creates a great shift on the entire collective as well as shifting the entire electromagnetic field. And this year, in 2024, the sun's actually going through a pole shift where it's reversing its north and south pole. This happens every 11 years, and for the Earth's doing a not a full reversal, but a partial reversal as well. And so this is significant because if we can think about what does that mean energetically for us? Well, if we think about, say, having a Kundalini activation, the south and the north pole being the top of our head and the bottom of our spine, we receive this powerful charge, and this charged particle that goes through our cerebral spinal fluid and goes up through the body, and it awakens, and through that awakening it upregulates biochemistry in our body, and it gives us this illuminescence. We can see through our third eye, and we can see actually multidimensionally. We can see beyond the third dimensional reality, and we have these powerful revelations as well. So if we see that happening from the micro level, this is what happens in our magnetic field of our heart. When the magnetic field of our heart rotates and shifts and does a pole flip, that's the same thing that's happening sort of at the sun. So we're receiving that information, because if we think of nature, all of nature is encapsulated sunlight. So the sun is genetic code. And we're receiving the neutrinos, we're receiving this information.
All light on the planet is genetic code.
Yeah, so when we perceive the sun as this field of intelligence that's giving us this information, this data, this genetic data, and it's giving it to all sentient life, we look at the sun differently. Our relationship with the sun changes. And this is what was spoken of in the Vedic Samvardika fire prophecies, where there's this big purification that comes from one cycle, we move to another cycle. There's this powerful purification. Now, is that physical? Is that energetic? Is it all of it?
It has to be all of it.
No. So, and then there's also the Egyptian prophecy of Thoth. Who's heard of Thoth? Everyone, beautiful. So the grand architect, and Thoth spoke about a time where he wrote this in the Hermetica, an ancient scripture, and it was part of the Emerald Tablets. And it spoke of this time where this was in the middle of a golden age, where they had beautiful temples, and the Nile was basically, it was closer to the kings, to the Great Pyramids and to the Sphinx, and the the Nile represents the initiations of the different sort of chakras or the energy centers of our body. It represents those temples that represent that. And
Up the spine.
so Thoth was speaking of this time where everything would be forgotten. The peak of the initiations, the peak of the mystery traditions would be forgotten. And then it would be this great sleep for many thousands of years. And then there would be this re-emerging of a golden age. So that's another prophecy that speaks of this time that we're in right now. There's also
The blue kachina.
yes, and if we go into the prophecies of the indigenous prophecies, there's many. We spoke about the 8th prophecy. There's the prophecy of the Hopi prophecy, the twins, the blue and red kachina, which also speaks of these twins that show up. And they show up at a time of change. And some are alluding to it's a planetary, basically, shift where planets come in. But at an energetic level, these new grid lines that we spoke about at the very beginning of this class is that those new grid lines that are coming and emerging on the planet, they actually come in pairs. And they come and they move together and they weave together in pairs, and they are enormous. These grids are like about 50 miles plus longer than any other type of grid on the planet. So they consume a lot of the other energetic grids. And so we'll speak of that soon. But basically this is another, if we look at this from another perspective, it's also an energetic shift, because as that happens, the star beings return and there's a new humanity that's forged. And we're giving a very brief overview of this. And the point we're making here is just to say there's many key universal prophecies that are speaking about this time that's pointing to now, speaking of a collective transformation that we're evolving into.
Basically, what we're saying is that it is woven. It is woven in the earth. It is woven through the stories. It is woven. It is written in the cave walls. It's everywhere, and it's everywhere for a reason, so that we don't forget it. So that in times of confusion, in times of strife, in times of suffering, we remember. We remember.
Yes, there's also the Kera prophecy, the time of the Mastay, which speaks of the 12 Malku, which are basically these 12 elders that return back to a period of time where they remap the grid on the earth. They heal the lands. They come from the higher lights. Basically, they descend and come through, which is interesting. If we think of them as people, it's an interesting occurrence. But if we think of them as also energetic lines, Peru to this day has the biggest energetic grid and node on the planet. And we actually went there last year during the solstice, and we had a team of a fair
It was
few
indeed
hundred.
the time of the Mastay.
And there was all these basically energetic grids that were coming into a convergent point, and they had to be moved, they had to be realigned. The grids are very significant in Peru because they map to the Vatican. And if we think about the grid as like the beacons that are creating these sort of energetic transmissions, but they're also a way that we can collectively meditate and connect with the earth to actually speak and communicate to everyone else. So it's like a hardwire into the collective mind. And so when you think of what happened to many different temples and many different cultures, the ancient temples that were built on these powerful energetic grids, they were desecrated, and then certain churches or certain monuments were built upon them. So you can think of how there was a closed grids, like a closed source. Now we're coming in a time where there's an open source. Everything's opening up, the grids are shifting, realigning.
That's the whole thing, is that the shift is creating the instability in the structures that were built so long ago. So that megaphone, essentially, is no longer as loud.
Yeah, because if there's a specific transmission, and that doctrine is transmitting a specific perception, many people will pick that information up, because this is like the group brain, the brain of the earth. So we think about plugging into that, we can use it as a conduit to connect to the universal mind, to the universal self, our true nature. So this was another interesting prophecy that was spoke of the time where there'd be, and there's in fact 12 grids line up specifically in the region that was prophesied, which was the temple of the sun. And so this it was significant because that time basically locked the last grid that needed to be repaired on the planet. It locked that into place, and so that was accomplished back last year.
That was quite a feat.
And on that
Quite a
day,
journey.
the Schumann resonance went ballistic. So if anyone saw back in 2023 when the Schumann resonance did something that no one's ever seen before, it happened the exact same time that those grids were moved.
Who remembers that?
Yeah, when the Schumann, and it had this like
When scientists everywhere and everybody was talking about what in the world just happened to the Schumann resonance, we know exactly what happened to the Schumann resonance.
Well, what was interesting was the exact same geometric depiction of that wave of the Schumann resonance is exactly the same depiction of what happened as the grids were braided in that fashion. So it was very significant, and so it was a time of, and we should have definitely had a slide to show you that picture. Yes. but Google that because you'll know it's after this class. And then there's also the Black Elk prophecy as well that speaks of the 4 dreams. It's believed that an elder, a shaman in specific traditions would receive 4 dreams, 4 prophetic dreams. And through each one of these dreams, these would be significant dreams that would catalyze a great summoning to the service for this time on the earth, and also catalyze a transformation to actually step into leadership, and would prepare one, and they'll be ready for the great sort of service of spirits. So in Black Elk's visions of those dreams was speaking about the earth going through a metamorphosis, the earth's body transforming and shifting and rearranging as well, and a massive transformation occurring. And then there's more modern prophecies that from like different luminaries such as Rudolf Steiner, like Helen Blavatsky, and other greats, like Edgar Cayce as well, who's a great prophetic seer that was speaking of a time that we're returning to these sort of ancient ways, and we're moving out of the individual into group consciousness. So
it's no longer a service to self, which is the structure that has plagued this planet for eons of time. It's now service to other. It's a model that it says not what can I get for myself, what can I do for myself, but how can I serve? Because that's really how humans originally were created. The DNA structures, the way the RNA signaled, it was all about being able to share. It was all about the ability to be able to have the cosmic communication as one whole, one grand, to be able to be in service and support.
Yeah. Now, let's do a practice together to drop out of our sort of the intellect for a moment, and then just use a practical way that, as we're going through this, go back to the great purification that's happening on the earth, how do we navigate this? How do we navigate when, we may be in a trigger, we may be, in a wobble, in certain life happens, right? So we have to face our situations. How do we manage that? We want to give you a very simple technique that's very, very impactful of how it can adjust the way in which you operate basically in life. And we give this because it's a remembrance. It's the first step, it's the middle step, and it's the last step. It's basically coming back to that still point, coming back to our alignments, and staying in that alignment. When we think of meditation, we think of doing meditation. We do it for an hour, we do it for 2 hours. We may be, ambitious and do it for many hours. But true meditation is to live in a state of meditation, a consistent state of meditation. And it also means being very, of course, practical with life. It doesn't mean like just avoiding responsibility. It means showing up and fully engaging, being detached from the outcomes of life, but being fully engaged with life. And so we want to teach a simple way to help as we're going through this tremendous universal shift as unfolding for all of us, how we can tap in and listen to that inner guidance, how we can tap into our inner alignments, how we can tap into the field. So who would like to do that? Me. Okay, beautiful.
Okay, we're going to ask everyone to sit up, spines straight, please, as best as you can.
And so this will be a part 1, and then at the end we'll do a part 2 of furthering this technique. So close your eyes for a moment, and taking a deep breath in and out. Taking another deep breath in, and visualize a light coming down through your crown as you breathe in, like a line of golden light coming down your crown, down to the center of your brain, down to the center of your throat, down to the center of your chest, down, down, down to the base of your spine. Now bring into your awareness a clock with the big and small hands pointing to 12 o'clock. The energy comes straight to 12 o'clock.
And even before you do that, take a look and see, if possible, where the hands are pointing before you bring them to 12 o'clock.
Just intuit it. If they were to point anywhere, where are they pointing right now?
Where would they be?
And we'll unpack the reason for that after. And then just notice where you are before you shift that configuration.
I'm going to bring that all to 12 o'clock now, so everyone's clock will turn to 12.
And then just feel and notice as the big and small hand are just coming straight to that point.
Notice if you receive more energy and flow moving through your pranic tube, through your spine,
Yeah, to become
through your
aware
governing meridian.
Become aware of the energy around you and still keep focus of that 12 o'clock. So just as if there was like a mist around your body, tapping into that energy around you, and then bringing your awareness directly to 12 o'clock.
Now pay attention if you have any thoughts, if anything shows up for you. And if you have a thought, do the hands move?
Or are you in just stillness? Do
Or
you
are you empty and in stillness?
feel still, aligned, present, anchored? And if your attention's in your head, bring it down to your heart and see that 12 o'clock in the center of your chest, just creating that alignment right in your heart, feeling softening into that still point. And then open your eyes when you're ready. Who was able to go into no thoughts Just be fully present. Who still feels fully present in that space? And now this is a very simple on purpose, to just help reconfigure the field. Sometimes our energy field, we move to the past. So if you look at the clock, you just intuit, okay, where am I at the clock? If anything's from 1 to 6, it's the past. We're looking at the past. We're living in the past. Where energy is configured in the past. Our focus is in the past. So anything from 7 up to 12, where 7 to 11, we're in the future. We're projecting our energy. But if we're at 12 o'clock, we're returning to spiritual order. We're returning to that vertical column. You know, our energy centers, they're horizontal planes. It's how we engage in the life. It's how we reach for life.
And with that said, reaching for life is part of the plane of the heart. So what you reach for life,
Is it
and
fulfilling?
how you reach for life, what is the intention as you reach for something? It's so valuable to know that before you reach for anything, what is truly the intention? Because you know that you are using your heart and the magnetics of your sacred heart to do so. And so as we take a look at what energy does and how it moves, when one is giving their energy out inadvertently in ways, whether it's being taken, whether you're giving it without knowing, unconsciously, you always want to pull your energy back to your center column of light. And just with all of your being, with all of your will and your strength, you pull that and you call that back into you. All parts and pieces that have been given away through time and space, return. Return it back to you. And what you find is that your column gets wider. The ability for it to move, the ability for the prana to move, allows the rest of you to soften. And then you'll be able to put yourself at the 12 o'clock much easier, because you won't be pulled out in all of these other directions. So you are verticalized.
So we call this that basically entering into the state of non-action. There's action in life, but we're not in this reaction. So there's a sort of a non-action, meaning that we're not wavering, we're not being pulled out of our center. And so this is a very simple practice. So when there is transformation occurring in our life, in our family, in our community, on the planet, we have to find our center. We have to know that. And then part 2, we're going to go deeper into, actually, okay, so once they're in that alignment, how do you tune into allowing the energy to run through your body? Because there will be a lot of energy coming through, and many of you are already energetically sensitive. How do we manage the sensitivity to that energy that's running through our body, our being, our energy field? Is there anyone that would like to share their experience with that very simple technique? Who could see it being useful in their life? Like if there's just a way of shifting out of their center, coming back. Who felt that quite initially? Okay.
Raise your hand so we can see them.
Yes, okay.
Oh, that's good. So most people, many people. Great. This is easy. Whenever you feel like you're in a wobble, or whenever you feel maybe as though you're just a little bit depleted, bring yourself back. Take those hands, bring them back, just like you're in prayer position. Imagine that what you're doing is you're bringing yourself back into divinity, back into prayer.
And see if there's any guidance that comes through for you, if you're listening. Like just, bringing the energy in, stilling it, and connecting in, and dialing in to hold that center. Now, this is a very powerful technique that's really necessary when you're connecting with sacred sites. because sacred sites are like these nodal points that create these big torus fields. And so as we have the earth grid is like every point of light is this sort of this node that creates this double toroidal dynamic. And it's these coherent structures that are coming into these convergent points. They're sort of like little mini hearts, because our hearts are these torus fields. And so we're getting inducted by these sacred sites. And there's many sacred sites, that not just the world-renowned ones, but there's sites, you know, in local community as well, when we understand the grids. And it's important to know the grids is because as we connect with them, they create a resonance with our own biology. They create a resonance for our cells. They create a resonance for our hemispheres of our brain. It can help shift us into different brain states, whole brain states, and also different coherent states between the heart-brain coherence. Mm-hmm. And it also can help us receive that deeper guidance. And as we come into that higher harmonic, we can actually receive downloads. And that can happen just naturally, just in your everyday life, as you start building the coherence of your field. But this is happening on a collective level. What's also happening, though, is all the dissonance has to come up. So all the things that we don't want to see, all the things that we don't want to sort of process. And so all of it has to come up. And so this year, we're seeing a powerful metamorphosis where the grids that we spoke about in 2017, they've all been configured, and they create what's called a harmony time. So every equinox and solstice, they move into this harmony period where these grids create these torus fields that are in harmony with different levels.
And there used to be, for centuries, they were only 24-hour periods, 24 to 48-hour periods.
Yeah, now we're seeing them at the end of this year, they're going to be 90 days, so there will be the planet will be energetic harmony, the grids, because there's electromagnetic grids, there's solar grids, there's lunar grids, and then there's these new cosmic grids that we're going to unpack the science of now, that basically are blanketing the Earth, and it's creating this massive metamorphosis on the planets that's also creating a transference into our body.
It's a forced awakening.
Yeah, so yeah.
But isn't that what the diamond is? It's the coal, it's the force of that becomes the diamond. But really, that's divine grace. Bringing that through in that surrender. And that's what's being called again and again and again, is absolute surrender. Surrender to the deepest parts of us. Surrender to the parts that we don't want to face. Surrender to the parts that you want to hide behind a bushel. But no, because that's where your greatest light comes from. That's where we find our greatest light, our greatest empowerment, our greatest strength, is when we get to stand in that and love it anyway. And love it so much that all it can do is turn into love.
It's an interesting metaphor, though, because coal's literally getting pulverized, and it can feel like that. When you're in it, when you're going through the process, it feels like you're getting swept under the water, and there's these deep emotional crevices that are being unpacked, and it can be challenging.
That's why tools are invaluable.
Yeah, and being vulnerable to go through that, and it can force you to your knees. It can really force you deeply to reflect what's most important in life.
And we always say, and let it.
Yeah.
Let it bring you to your knees.
It's bringing you to love, and sometimes we build these walls of resistance around what we perceive as love, true love. And so, this forced awakening that's happening on the planet, it really is. It's because the energetics are remapping to a point where there's no break anymore. It's like we're here for this purpose. We have to do it, and we're here for it. Now, if we look at the science of this, just to give you sort of an intellectual framework, where we're in this supercluster known as Laniakea, and if you the volume, beloveds, can you turn the volume up?
The volume of the mic?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course. Please.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Just please let us know if
Yeah,
there's
just
any
please let us
audio.
know.
Yes. Appreciate that. Is that good? Better? Yes. Perfect. So just to create like a framework of the science of this, so we can get an intellectual picture of what's happening. Basically, Laniakea is our sort of localized point in the universe. It's a supercluster, and if you look at Laniakea, it's actually looks literally like a human beating heart. So we can see that the heart of
The high heart of the universe.
the heart of the universe, the one that our galaxy is a part of billions, is literally a macro reflection of our human heart, which is so beautiful. It's just this geometric structure that we can see reflected cosmically. So if you have time, look Laniakea and you'll see that. You'll be amazed. Like, oh wow, this is where we are in sort of space-time. Now, what's happening is that there's these almost like a rose as petals sort of emerging. There's what we call sheaths. There's sheaths of structured plasma. So plasma being this cosmic radiation, this cosmic energy, we travel through them, these sheaths, and we come into them and out of them. Well, every time we go into them, we come closer to the center of our galaxy. And so we're entering into this new sheath that's going to stay like that for 200 years and then another 12,000 years. So as we're in that time, what we've noticed, like all the planets in our solar system, all their weather patterns have changed, their sound has changed because every planet has a vibration. It's literally playing a vibration. It has a different sort of emanation of that song or that audio tone. They're all changing. So our entire solar system is going through a metamorphosis at sort of the energetic level. And so as we move through these sheaths, this energy comes down. It comes through 3 different layers onto the planets. It ricochets off the sun, and it comes through the atmosphere and stratosphere of our planets, and then it reverberates from our crystal core, the sort of iron core, the heart of the Earth, the iron nickel core. And as this powerful energy comes into our planet, it creates what we call these ultra-low standing sound waves. So there's these reverberation, just like we said earlier at the very beginning of this class, when we hit like a crystal bowl or a bell, it vibrates and rings and creates this vibration pattern. Well, that's happening, and the bell's being rung every equinox and every solstice. By the end of this year, by the December solstice, it's literally going to be consistently in ringing and in a harmony. And what that does, it basically, these what we call the cosmic grid, we call them actually cosmic dragons because we love dragons and they look dragon-like and there's a reason for that, is because the serpentine lines that had lost their wings, so they were earthbound, but energy coming off from the planet into the planet is like dragons because they can fly. And so that's just sort of the mythology.
From great distances.
That's sort of the mythology behind this grid. But as we're moving into this period of time, we're just going to be consistently harmonically inducted into this bandwidth.
So what does that mean exactly?
Yeah.
What does that mean? It means that the veils that humanity has been living under is going to change. They're going to thin. They're going to be removed. This is going to give people who have not cultivated, who have not done the work, an opportunity.
A big one.
It's a big opportunity. And if they don't take it, then we're going to start to see a lot more mania, a lot more mental health conditions, physical disorders. We're going to start to see the mutation of the human DNA as a descending cycle. But for those who have cultivated, for those who are doing the work, for those who are truly doing their absolute best every single day to stay at their 12 o'clock, then we're going to be experiencing the ascending cycle of what this power is able to do. And this is when we're able to tap into our gifts. This is when we're able to tap into a greater awareness and a higher intelligence that is encoded in the cosmos, that is encoded in the universe, in the fabric itself of creation. But there's this bifurcation that's taking place right now. Who here knows about the bifurcation? Okay, a few.
This is playing a significant role in that.
Let's get into that then.
Please?
Okay.
I forgot.
So bifurcation quite literally means the splitting in half of one mass into two parts or two pieces.
And just to echo that, that's exactly what's happening at an energetic level on the planets, is that the grids are splitting open and they need to be re-repaired together. So anytime there's a healing that has to happen on the planet, when we're working with the sort of geomancy or the geobiology, you have to remove the lines, have to split them to then put them back together. So it's sort of like you have to remove the sort of the problem in order to then harmonize the fields to then bring them back into a collective whole.
We call that alchemy.
Yeah, which is alchemy, which is changing what's fixed, making what's fixed volatile, and what's once volatile fixed again. So it's reversing the polarities. That's what's happening at an energetic level of our planets. It's what's happening eternally, and that's what the bifurcation is also speaking of, is that. And it's also speaking of going into another dimension, another realm, another plane, another level of octave, where we're experiencing, instead of individualized consciousness from a limited perspective, we're opening up into a group, a unity consciousness, that we don't see each other as separate, but we actually experience the oneness of our true being in a group field. And we see that not just in humanity, but we see that with all sentient life.
And you see that's happening right now. You can, if not see it, you can feel that there is a polarity that's happened right now that's never occurred before. It's such a dichotomy of opposites, of opposing forces right now, that we've seen it in people's dream spaces, in their reality, because for those souls who have come for this, then there's that experience of watching it take place. But how do you watch it take place and not get sucked down with it? How can you watch something from the witness and the observer perspective in great honor of the entire grand design and not go down with the sinking ship? Well, here's the opportunity. The opportunity is that the grand plan is that there's going to be two sects of human species, let's call it. The one that we all know so well, that has been populating the earth for so long, and the way in which actions are taken, the ego being the lead force in the way humans interact and interface. And then there's the other side. And there's that other side of that service, of that peace, of that harmony, of the looking for the golden thread that exists within all life and all creation, that is in fact the necklace. It's not the diamonds that bring it all together. That's what you see. But what is really bringing it together is that golden thread. And so through the bifurcation, that golden thread is going to be woven into communities. It's going to be woven into service. It's going to be woven through as love, as compassionate communication to bring peace on earth. And the other section Here's the good news. The good news is that no one will ever be left behind. It doesn't mean, however, that those who are not truly willing to open themselves completely will be able to operate and oscillate in the new matter frequency world. Does that make sense? But again, no one will ever be left behind. They will get to experience whatever reality they still need to be a part of in order to learn the lessons that their souls have come to learn.
And we can see this from an internal perspective of where our drives are. You know, when we think of the first three centers of our body, those centers are about consuming and eliminating and defending and protecting. When we start elevating more into that energetic center of our hearts, we become more open, we become more vulnerable, we become more transparent, we become more expanded, become more loving, more virtuous. And so it's about living from these higher centers of the energetic anatomy starts opening up, and we start becoming more connected to the field, and the field holds all of us together. So we have great compassion for everyone going through whatever process they need to, but we also have to support. And the greatest support we can do is hold a field of resonance, hold a great field to bring up what needs to come up, but actually hold the energy and stabilize it to help remove any dissonance naturally. So there's sort of an internal aspect, there's an energetic aspect on the planet, and there's these micro levels, and then there's many stories that have been pointing to all of what is coming apparent. And so this time, this epoch that we're co-creating, we get to come together to co-create this. We remember this, or we're remembering this. You know, this is a time where no matter what comes up, we have the tools now. We have the tools necessary where we have what's needed literally around us in the field. And all we need to do is start meditating, coming together in communities and start creating synergy, start creating global synergy together and start removing the fragmentation of this individualization, but coming to more of a universality of our true connection with each other and the world at large.
That's right. And so what better time than right now in this room?
Yes.
What is it that you want to see in this new age of time? What do you want to co-create? What vision is it that you want to bring into manifest form through your prayers? So I'd like to hear anybody who just wants to say a word. Peace. We're opening this celestial cauldron right now, this beautiful vortex. Joy, peace, harmony, compassion, love, sharing, dance, gratitude, resonance, grace, joy, expression.
And see what you feel as you say these words.
Really feel them so deeply. Love. So much immaculate beauty. Yes. Miracles. Grace. Celebration. Well, as you speak, know that your words are being heard, that your prayers are being listened to, that you are being seen. And know that the field of attraction doesn't come from your thoughts, it comes from your emotions. It's the magnetics that pulls in what you really want. So as you speak, as you communicate, feel it welling up inside of you to then express it. And feel how that's different. Wisdom.
Soothing acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Soothing acceptance. Clear blue skies. Clean waters.
Cooperation.
Cooperation. A legacy for the children to be able to play in this world freely. Freedom.
Liberation.
Liberation. Laughter. Satisfaction. Abundance.
Yes.
Conscious relationships.
Yes.
Sovereignty.
Authentic prosperity.
Authentic prosperity. Kinship. Abundance. Honoring the earth. Honoring the cycles. Embodiment.
Enlightenment and clarity.
Enlightenment, clarity, mercy. Connection. Forgiveness. Honoring of the ancestors. Creative innovation. So that is alive right now, creative innovation. There are incredible resonant technologies that are here to help bring about a greater resonance for humanity right now. This is all happening. Every one of your words is in fact happening. It's happening in this room. It's happening in small groups. It's happening when we come together with our hearts in vulnerability, in transparency, when we allow divine grace to lead us, to lead our words, to lead our hearts. It's up to us. We say the golden age can only start from within. It starts by picking up the pieces, as we spoke of earlier, that have been given away. This is world peace, when everybody shows up in authenticity, in great ownership for their life, and says, I pick up the pieces that I've given away. I pick up the pieces of myself that have been broken. I pick up the pieces that have been somehow shattered. And I'm the one that gets to heal them. Shall we do some toroidal breathing?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, that's sharing your sacred words. And words, remember, words create worlds. Our world of perception is created by the words that we choose to believe in and perceive in and filter life. And so when we use our words in harmony with our thoughts, in harmony with our feelings, we can transform our reality around us. And when we do it together, we create a powerful field. And that field can be a powerful catalyst. We're living in this time where there's these cosmic cycles and cycles within cycles. We're in this 2,000-year cycle as we're moving into the Aquarian age, which is about 2,160 years. We're in a 12,000-year cycle when these grids sort of switch on. We're in a 26,000 or thereabouts, about 25,960 or so years, where it goes to the entire precession of the equinox, where our planet goes through every single sign of the zodiac. Right now we're moving into the age of Aquarius, where it's divine knowing. The point of the Aquarian age is to manifest the highest unconditional love onto the planets. That's the point of the Aquarian age. It's the point of opening and being the receiving vessel and pouring the water from the Piscean age, out of the vessel to fill up a new, a new wisdom, where there's not a mediated experience, there's an unmediated experience that we have with the divine. And we're also in a 232 million year cycle as well, which is like a cosmic cycle. So we're in these cycles upon cycles upon cycles. And we also live in a 24-hour cycle. We go through this process every single day. We have cycles in seasons, weekly, monthly cycles. So how do we tap into the cycles, the rhythm, the cosmic pulse, so we can live in that flow state? We can live in coherence, because when our energy is aligned, when our energy is centered, when our energy is free-flowing, when the life force is flowing through us and we become electromagnetic, our magnetic field, we become like highly conductive, super coherent. When we do that, we can help others do the same. Just by your very presence alone. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to do anything, just be. And you can start helping others come into that harmony. Harmony internally creates, of course, harmony externally as well. So we want to teach another simple process. The first one was just coming into that 12 o'clock, like coming into prayer position, centering your energy, coming down. This one is now just become more energetically sensitive to see how the energy is flowing and direct that energy to create more coherence, to create that flow state in your life, that harmonic experience. And then you can do an experiment with yourself throughout your day. It's like when things aren't going right or things aren't flowing, like tune in. How's your internal compass? Where are you on the clock? Are you at 12 or are you in
3
at different hours, so to speak? But we use the clock metaphor very importantly. So every time you see a clock, it reminds you, I have to go back to 12 o'clock, because there's always clocks everywhere, whether it's on your phone mostly. But every time you look at the time, now you're going to remember, okay, I've got to go to 12 o'clock, or we're going to find my center point. And so this is why it's a very simple, but again, effective. And then this next practice that we'll do together, we'll just tune into the energy field. And we want to do a transmission. So this is also an opportunity if there's anything that you need to heal physically, maybe something emotionally, maybe something for a family member or a friend, or something that you just want to see shift in the world at large. So we can use this as an opportunity where we can create powerful resonance and powerful transmission that can be quantum in its effect. So who would like to do that? Okay.
So we were going to have you, beloved, stand up, but it seems as though you might be hitting into each other by doing this. So we're going to do it a little bit different.
Yeah, unless you want to. Who wants to stand up? Okay.
Okay, stand up.
Okay. Yes, let's stand up.
We really feel it would be so good. So.
Okay.
Okay, we're standing.
We might have to adjust our camera, so.
I know, I didn't know we were standing. Okay, we're standing. No. Thank you.
Okay, so we want to spread our feet like shoulder hips apart, and we want to bend our knees a little bit, and we want to tilt our pelvis so we have that sort of pelvic floor just tilted, we're centered. We're going to close our eyes. Again, we're going to visualize that golden thread of light coming down through our crown, down through the center of our brain, to the third ventricle, down through our throats, down through our chest, down through our abdomen, down to the base of our spine. And then we're going to come back up into our hearts. And take 3 deep breaths together, breathing in and softening on the out breath, breathing out. Breathing in and softening again on the out breath and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Now, as you breathe in, you're going to breathe up through the base of your spine. Breathing up and bring your hands up and just feel the energy coming up and at the top of your head and flowing back down like a fountain. And breathing in, so we're now going to go deeper down into connecting to the crystalline core of the earth, sending our our line of light all the way down into the earth. We're connecting into her crystalline matrix, her central nucleus, her heart. We're going to be grateful for her, all that she provides, the bounty, the beauty.
Her body that we stand on, that we drive on, that we walk on, the water that we drink, the blood that she gives, all of it.
And so from that place of connecting in to her core, with gratitude, with love, with appreciation, we're going to take a breath in and breathe up that energy up through our body and allow it to flow out on the top of our head. And feel that connection. Breathe into the feeling. Again, just breathing in and out. This next one, we're going to go deep down again, down into the crystalline core of the earth, down through the dark soils. The rocks and the minerals keep going down to her lava flow core, just plugging in, just feeling that deep magnet just clicking in place like a magnet, just linking together, just linking in, connecting to her supreme intelligence that's connected to the sun, the universe at large. And as you breathe up again, breathe in and see that light coming up. Feel the current coming up through your body.
Raising, 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 raising the frequency of the currents now. Raising, raising, raising the frequency of that current. And
just stand here, seeing this field around you. Feel the flow is coming in and out around you.
And if you can, do this with your arms so that you can feel the toroidal experience. And you are structuring your field right now as the toroidal.
So keep breathing and take this moment to set an intention. What is that intention? Is that intention healing? Is that intention to manifest something? Is that intention to see or change something for yourself, something for a friend, your family, the world at large? Use this moment as we now sync and we see our field of light around us and we expand into spatial awareness where we can take a bird's eye view and see all these spheres of light. And the one sphere of earth as one field of light.
And one cell within the universe.
And from this expanded state, now sets that intention into motion and just let it go. Now come back from that outer expansion and come back into that central line, straight into the center of your chest and your heart, putting your hands in prayer position and
start to feel your cells, recognizing that your cells also, healthy cells, are little toroidal fields, little tiny toruses. See if you can now feel those cells inside of you.
And feel the energy around you coming into your center as you're populating the field, your intention. And then you're coming into the center of your being to attract that intention as its frequency embodies into you and thus projects out into your reality.
Three ohms.
And now let's just chant a simple
Om.
3 ohms together, just sealing this container with that frequency, with our vibration as we go into a collective resonance. big deep breath into the silence. Just be present this moment.
Present with all the sensations that are happening inside of your body. Present with all of the messages that are being given to you, whether known or unknown. Your presence will be enough.
And when you're ready, you can open up your eyes and be seated if you're still standing. Thank you. So how are you all feeling? Vibrant? Who believes it's possible to feel like this all the time? Yes. So this powerful time, there's many upgrades that are occurring on the planets, many upgrades that we are receiving. And so it's important that we integrate. When we use community, we come together in circles to help integrate, meditate, and transmit through this time. We want to open up for any questions. It's been a joy and an absolute honor to be here with you all. And our purpose is, again, is to remember that we all chose to be here. We all incarnated for this. And each one of us holds a piece, a puzzle, of the puzzle that will become a masterpiece as we collectively create the greater vision that we're all capable of upholding and inspiring others.
This brings me to Egypt. The mysteries of Egypt, the power of Egypt, the temples, the Nile. 7 years ago, in December of 2020, in December of 2017, we came together and reunited in the Great Pyramid. And now, December of 2024, we are returning to Egypt to complete all of the reactivation work that has been done now. This should be the very last time out of everybody that the activation needs to be absolutely completed and anchored on this particular solstice. It's going to be something that we hope that whether you come with us or whether you tune into can transform your body and your mind to truly feel into the power and the potency of December 2024 and what's taking place there. Yeah. You want to share it?
There's many beautiful beings that have been going to the sacred lands and just honoring everyone for traveling there and doing that great work. Yeah, it's beautiful. Also, beloved Nastara is also going to be going on 11/11, the powerful portal as well. So there's a big calling to do the work this year and to really support. And whether we go physically or whether we participate, it's about our takeaway from this to really share with you is to organize and steward group meditations together continuously at sacred times to build group coherence. And whether one is going to a pilgrim site or not, consistently creating group coherence, coming together to open up the field and to really tune in and pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to the messages, pay attention to what's coming through. But really, this time is written in the stars. It's written in the scriptures. It's written in the sand. It's written in ourselves. And so we just want to really encourage everyone to come together as in groups and to unify, because that's what we need to do to really support this incoming broadcast of this cosmic energy, so we can be those crystalline acupuncture needles that are just opening up the body of Earth, opening up the collective field, opening up humanity, the hearts, to really receive what's coming.
That's what I was just going to say, is imagine yourselves as acupuncture needles everywhere you go on the earth, bringing that light, opening the passages of earth and thus the passages of the heart for humanity. Be those needles of light. You already are, but to imagine yourself as one is very powerful as well.
So we always like to give gifts, so we're going to give a gift. This gift is, if you feel called, it's basically just teaching how to bring different levels of your life into harmony, and then also just learn a little bit more about the potential of what every being has the divine potential to accomplish and master and make strides on that path. And so this speaks of that. And again, we want to open up to any questions that you may have while we have this time together. It's really been an honor to be with you all, in person and online as well.
Yes, in person and online as well. So this has all been about the ancients, honoring the ancient earth, recognizing that we are the ones we've been waiting for, and we're here, and it's now.
Yeah.
And because of that, play the song.
Oh yes, it's a song that we're going to play
And
as well.
because of that,
There's a song that we want to play.
Are we going to take questions before the song?
we will.
Okay.
So
We will take questions.
yes, and it's a special song because it's hasn't been played ever before. So yeah, it's a surprise.
So who here has a question? You can raise your hand. Yeah.
Thank you. Sure. How can we support our beloveds who have not been cultivating or doing the work to prepare for this time?
That's a great question. Well, there's a couple of things. One of the main things is to realize that every soul has its path and every soul has its choice. And that's sacred and holy. And that there isn't any one right way to do this, but that there is a right way for each individual that must be honored. And that can be really hard when you're working with family and friends that you love so much. Embody who and what you are, and let that transform those in your path. That's really all you can do, and that is the best service that you can give.
And inspire with peace.
Always.
Like, offer the opportunity that if they're open, if one is willing. You can only work with one that's willing. You can never force or would choose to. But if one is willing, the inspiration of what would it be like if you had great peace in your life? Like, and there's moments when there's friction and when there's terror and there's this angst. What would it be like if there's peace in your life, where that peace could be cultivated? Would that not be something that you would want to experience more of? And maybe the answer would be, of course. And then so look at cultivation in a path of cultivating peace. There's many different ways, of course, that do that, but just starting with looking into forgiveness. What needs to be forgiven? And that's a very powerful way to help anybody resolve the inner conflicts that is binding them to those types of trauma, is to open up to forgiveness. And forgiveness is not something that you have to go and do and you can just decide one day, I'm just going to forgive. Maybe that might be a way, but forgiveness happens through you. It happens through you as one surrenders. And so teaching someone how to surrender is also teaching one how to forgive. So forgiveness is an inspiration to remove the pain of the past.
And ask how this drama or this suffering or whatever it is they are embroiled in is serving them. Because even though they may feel that, or someone may feel that it's not serving, something unconscious is taking place, that there is a service that's being given, that's being provided, or it wouldn't be there. So there's detective work as well.
Thank you. So we have a question from the Zoom room.
Yeah, so our online audience is sending lots of loves. And Dorina from Ecuador asks, how much of our collective initiation, transformation, and ascension are inevitable? And how much is still dependent on shifting timelines, quantum changes, and galactic intervention?
Ooh, big one.
Is this question asking us for percentages of each? We can give those.
Sure.
But I feel that what's really the question is really asking, is it certain? So breaking that question down, it feels like the question is it certain? Or are there so many variables involved that one can't truly be certain? And I say to you, it is certain.
Woohoo!
And it's happening.
It is happening.
It's happening.
Anyone else in the room? Christy? No?
So Aquarius is the age of technology. What is your point on the artificial intelligence and how we should approach it?
Thank you.
Great question. So when we spoke of the bifurcation, we can also see that through the bifurcation of technology, where there's AI is obviously at a rapid speed evolving and is going to get to the point where someone can literally customize their reality for the way that they perceive. So you can create an augmentation of one's reality with what they would like to perceive in their experience. And so when we think of that in technology, we can also think of the organic technology that's always been here. You know, there's the supreme technology that is the greatest technology is our biology. The greatest technology is the creation of the universe itself. And so there's already a bifurcation with ones that are very much repeating Atlantis.
Exactly.
And they're ones that are returning to Lemuria.
Remember, the fall of Atlantis is being retested at this time.
We've got all this sort of these shiny things, like it's like a tsunami. The water's gone and there's all this coral. And there's beautiful, basically the which is like the AI art and the efficiency that's happening, and then not recognizing what's being revealed now is there's something that's coming that's a lot more transformative, destructive almost, as well. So when we understand that we have a choice, but at the same time, technology is what it is. There's technology that's emerging right now that's resonant technology, which is mimicking the function of nature.
But that would never bind you.
Yeah.
And again, the lesson of the fall of Atlantis is that the people forgot their God and started to worship technology. And that's a test right now. That will not be so in the Golden Age. Anastasia, you have some beloveds. Questions?
Hi. Carly. So the last eclipse, the Atlantean eclipse over almost like the Arkansas crystal mines, and was that like the moment when the choice was made, or we had the decision, the Atlantis of the past or the future of enlightenment? Was that kind of the?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I felt that. Okay.
Absolutely, and in fact we had our global community doing mini missions all over the world. If they were certified in certain healings or in Geodivinity, or our, Earth healing program, or everybody had mini missions to working with to solidify the Golden Age timeline.
I will say as well
It was
as
a
that
huge victory.
I will say that the eclipses are significant in an astrological standpoint because every time there's an eclipse, it opens up that veil and that portal into every other time that we've ever experienced an eclipse, our soul has ever experienced an eclipse. And so this was a time where NASA was obviously sending rockets to and there's also CERN was launched, and there was a lot of intention to specifically anchor in a specific timeline. But that was a great turning point, and that was a profound
You felt
moment.
it.
Yeah, so that eclipse on the 8th that just passed was huge. And there's a few big moments, and with Pluto, for example, coming into, it's coming back into Capricorn, and then will come back and stay in Aquarius. That is literally signifying the entire reset of this democratic nation as well. Like the
You don't mean.
No, sorry. I meant to say that the writing of independence, the Declaration of Independence, that's the same date with the Pluto is actually returning at the same time it was written. So that's Declaration of Independence.
Yep.
Wrong word, clearly. But that word that signifies basically sovereignty. As there's a bifurcation that's happening also with certain law that has been imposed, and there's also natural law. Well, we have to remember that we have that God's sovereign law that's literally was the foundation of this country, and that also has to emerge, where we have to reclaim those laws with how we steward land, how we can actually run, PMAs and private management associations, how we can associate in our private way of our own sovereign choice. So there's a lot of sovereignty options that are coming to the forefront in this time as well, as the entire sovereignty is a choice right now, and Pluto signifying that reset.
Well, when we speak of sovereignty, we speak of true sovereignty, which is sovereign, which is reigning over the lower desires, reigning over the lower mind, reigning over the conditioning. once you're able to do that, you truly do become a free citizen with free will. Until that point, there is no such thing as true free will.
Christy Michaels. Thank you so much. Blessings and much love. On Easter evening, we do the Magdalene Moonrise Easter celebration. And I heard the call about the 8th fire, so I requested that the ashes come to me. And they arrived 2 days before our celebration. And so the ashes were on the altar, the Magdalene altar, and I didn't know you were going to be there. So I appreciated the stories and the contribution, because I understand people came up and put a stick in the fire one by one, and in a very ceremonial, high way. And now the ashes sit in my home. And so I'm going to use them as the charcoal to mark a painting of Magdalene that I'm going to be doing, that she has given me the image of in her sovereign state. And my granddaughter carried in the sovereign Magdalene painting of her. She was so honored and thrilled, a little 4-year-old, to carry this beautiful image. So she will be one of the children who will dance and play.
That's wonderful.
But I didn't know the story, so I appreciated your sharing the backstory. Is there anything else you feel inspired now to say about the 8th fire and what, because you heard the call and you went all the way there to the jungle where the group was hiding. So please, I'm hungry to learn more about what your experience was.
Well, we actually had the vision before we even knew this was taking place. So it was about 4 days before this was taking place. And we had this vision where we were quite literally bringing our celestial world to the heavens. And we were surrounded by all of these beautiful, amazing elders in this very sort of secluded place. And I looked at Sanandaji and how many people were there? 3 or 4 others? People, and I said, it's time. I need to meet the seers. And within 4 days, we were there and ushered in the most sacred and loving manner to be a part of this grand fulfillment that has been, when I checked, it was something like 7,000 years in the making.
And speaking into the event, it was very, very auspicious. Just how many of the key elders coming together in circle, and for the very first time. And the significance of the 8th fire is where it was actually lit. No one had known this, but there's a powerful energetic line, like we were speaking about, all these ley lines that go across the earth, and that was a very powerful line. And what would happen every time one of these fires would be lit, it would happen at these convergent points, which would be these torus fields. And the significance of lighting a fire, the center of a node that connects to the grid, the light grid on the planets, it initiates a catalyst of purification. And it's also symbolic to pull in the celestial fire, the celestial light. Fire representing in the ancients' perspective as spirits. And so it's bringing through more of the sort of the spirits, the great spirits, to come through to wash and cleanse and purify and prepare humanity. And so it's very significant. And there was many beautiful images that had like different non-physical beings literally like appearing in and around everyone gathering. And there was also ancient skulls that were brought as well, and there's all these ancient relics. So it was a profound, and we actually got the ashes as well when we lit a fire on the last equinox on another node from where we live, and that's
The sanctuary.
that catalyzed as well. So the 8th fire represents the 7 prior fires all in one. And each one of those fires represents a time where a new law, or a time where a new perspective, a time where, and Shifu Lane has done a tremendous effort to preserve this knowledge and bring this knowledge back, and to speak about what each fire represents and how the 8th fire represents all of them happening now and coming back. And
it was our honor to be asked to do a prayer over the fire.
Yeah.
So we did, as we would like to know.
And it also represents, like, if we think of our energy centers, we have these fires inside of us, these energetic
Agni.
points. And so we have these 7 chakras, or these 7 energy centers that ignite, and they teach us different lessons, which are like the lenses in which we perceive the world. And when we raise our frequency and we harmonize them, the intention is to harmonize them all together so that you have one coherent field. And so each one of the chakras sort of merge and become one, which is like the 8th fire as well, as they merge into that one illumination of the realization of what one is, who one is, what we all are.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm. We'd like to take one more from Zoom. Is that okay with you? All right.
So there's a question about asking if you can explain how the new energetic grid lines are being formed.
Yes. So simply, high frequencies coming into the planets, it's creating a reverberation, and that reverberation is creating a new grid. In the science of it is that the solar neutrinos, the plasmic discharge, the cosmic radiation, that unseen energy is coming through the atmosphere and stratosphere. It's ricocheting off the core, and it's creating a vibration from the crystalline core, the iron nickel core. And just as if we were to ring a bell, or if we were to play a crystal bowl, it would vibrate. And that vibration creates like a cymatic pulse. And that cymatics is, again, the geometry of sound. And so that geometry is basically pulsing through the earth, and it's creating a new body. It's consuming old grids and reactivating ancient grids. So that's just as if we were to, again, put water in a petri dish and vibrate it with acoustic vibration. We would see it morph. It would literally morph into a different geometry and structure. Well, if we think of the body of water on our planet and the land itself, it's going through that metamorphosis. It's vibrating into a new field. And when we think of the significance, all the information's in the field. So our physical body, it receives its data from the information of the field. All of form is frequency. So everything that we think is physical is just frequency. Form is frequency. And the frequency of the field is what materializes into the physical experience. So if the whole field is changing, if the whole entire field matrix of our planet's changing, then of course the physical matter will be changing. And there's been many records of different scriptures have alluded to times where we live a lot longer than just the 80 plus years. And so this could be a time where we're entering into a time where we live a lot longer than normal, because it's a different. The matter is changing literally from the very subatomic level.
Mm-hmm. Just imagine, like a child would imagine, that there are lines, and these lines are going to come and dissolve the other lines. And because of the frequency is so much higher, the life expectancy is also going to rise to meet that frequency. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be set so beautifully in its place. This also resets the memory field of the earth that has plagued humanity for so long. So once this is fully in its place, in its resonance, and being truly felt by the collective mind and the collective heart will also transmute into the frequency field of this new grid.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, beloveds. I have my own question. And so, the little star beings that are being born right now and that we are raising, what would you say would be one of the greatest things that we could teach them, to lead them, to be the new earth leaders?
We believe in the power of the ancient ways, of the Essene ways, of the ways of working with the star mapping. So when a child is born, seeing what their star mapping is, seeing how they can be placed immediately for success, how they can be placed immediately with groups of their own that have the skill sets that they've come to share, the gifts that they've come to share, and start to hone and cultivate those gifts from very, very, very early on. Doing that alone offsets all of these other situations and all of these other problems, because a child will never feel misunderstood again, or feel alone again, or feel left behind in any way, because they have been set up for success from the very moment they were born.
And just inspire them to shine their magic. And
always
ask them to show their magic. Teach, ask them to teach you. Ask them to, just express the purity, the innocence, and cultivate that, because they're already switched on. They just need the environment to bring their magic into this world. And each one of these star beings, these crystal children, are going to be the new wave of leaders.
Yes.
And so loving them,
Grounding them.
Grounding them is a practical way, like just playing in the earth sandpit of the mud is a great way to just
Teaching them gardening, playing with the animals, crystals, all of that.
Yeah, Cadence collects crystals. He loves them.
and then also encouraging them to be telepathic. So like sending an image, like sending him an image of like a geometry, a square, a triangle, a circle, like just teaching them to exercise more of their telepathic, psychic abilities, because they have it.
Amazing.
We're going to make these schools.
Yes, please.
We're going to make these schools.
Super psychic kids.
So, beloved Shekinah Mom, I know that you have a very special song that you wanted to share with all of us.
Yes, this is a song that I wrote, and it's coming out in the new album that's coming up very soon. And it's so appropriate because it's called The Ancients. And it's not mixed yet, it's not equalized yet, it's not ready, but it's ready enough to share for today, and I hope it touches every one of our hearts.
And it's also with Peter Cater.
Oh, yes.
If you've heard of Peter Cater, he's wonderful, incredible pianist, and he has done this album with Shekinah Ma over the last 2 years, and so it's been really profound to witness the many nights. And Kristen Hoffman as well, she's been an incredible producer and supporter, and so
Peter would be very upset by that. she's not a producer, but she has been an
She's been doing it.
amazing support in helping.
Yeah, she's been amazing as well. So there's just, it's a lot of love that's gone into it. So.
Okay, so this is called The Ancients. Are we ready to play?
And this is the first time we're playing this as well.
Yes, no one's ever heard this before.
Yeah, so it's our gift to you.
I sing the songs of the ancients, the ones who've come and gone. I sing the praise of the
I can't think of a more perfect place to have shared that song tonight, so thank you. What did you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Peter's amazing.
Yes. Well, it's definitely past our bedtime. It's been an absolute joy and honor to be with you all. And
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, beloveds. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A heart of gratitude.
Hey, everybody. I want to remind you of a couple of things.
I almost feel like we need like
Here's the
procession
golden
music as you
life
leave.
gift that they are offering. I encourage everybody to get this and to utilize the beautiful gift that they're providing. And I also want to invite everybody.
If we can allow a little outside first before we do that, delightful, thank you. Thank you, Shekina Ma and Sananda Ji. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
We thank you all for being here. So grateful. Please take some time to look at the TwinRay products out inside the loft area. There's flyers to go to Egypt.
One last thing is I want to remind everybody about what is going to be offered by Anastara. She's got a really exciting trip to Egypt. Here is the information on that. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Hope you'll join us on Saturday night for the Awakening World, live from the New Living Expo. So we'll see all of you then. And conclude with this option for anybody who wants to go to Egypt. Are you live, Scott? Yes. Okay. I don't want to bother you, but I'm wrapping up. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we'll look forward to hopefully seeing you on Saturday night on the Awakening World, live from the New Living Expo. There's a lot of wonderful people. Take care, everybody, and good night.